Hello, Chris Lipe here on the Recording Revolution channel this afternoon, this evening, this night, whatever it is for you. And we are doing some mix reviews, and then we get to go look at a bunch of your studios. The guys at the Recording Revolution have compiled three song snippets, actually, specific sections they want me to listen to comment on different parts of the mix and stuff. And then we have lots of studios that you guys have submitted for me to take a look at and comment, suggest maybe a piece of gear that might go well with what you're doing, adjusting how you have your room arranged, maybe asking questions, stuff like that. So this is going to be a really, really cool opportunity for me to see the spaces that you guys create in and hear some of the music that you guys have been doing, and then offer feedback based on my experiences. Now, my experiences are certainly, especially with everything out there on YouTube, they're not the end-all be-all. But I have been able to make a living in my recording studio for, 14 years now? This is the place that I do all of my work. And so having my experiences will really help you at least ask more questions as to how you can be more efficient, as to, maybe making some tweaks, or maybe you see something that I'm doing and you're like, I'm never doing that. And that's great too. Great to learn in those ways. So we're going to start out by doing some listening. And just give me 1 second here. There we go. The idea with these listening samples is I've never heard these songs. I've never heard these artists. I am using trusty headphones. I'd prefer to listen on my mains, but it'll be more difficult for me to talk at the same time because of the way things bleed in and out here. So here we go. The first piece of a song we have is Affinity, and we're starting to listen at the 3-minute mark. Can mend our hearts.
I'm sending this signal to you. I know you're hiding on the dark side of the moon, reaching out towards the endless stars. In silent space, I know your heart has been marooned. Just remember who you are.
And when the night grows long
And the echoes are
and their faces you can no longer ignore, just know that I will always find you.
I'll find you.
I'll find you. Find you. I will always find you. That's good for me to hear that fade out. Nice panning of the drums. Good placement of the vocals. The overall EQ feels good to my ears. The main things that I would suggest in this mix, and I don't know if it'll be like this for all of them, but I have to start with simple arranging suggestions. The greatest arrangements tend to mix themselves. And the first thing I noticed is that, and I don't know where exactly your panning is set, but the guitars feel small and kind of right here. I hear the drums everywhere. I hear the keyboards everywhere. The things that I hear going on in the keys and the things that I hear going on in the guitars are somewhat similar in frequency range responses. And so the lower parts of the keypad are swallowing up part of the guitar. They're kind of getting in the way a little bit. And the guitar feels small to me. Part of that is because the keys and the guitar are interfering a little bit. That's a little bit too strong of a word, I think. But what I would do is I would double that guitar a few more times with maybe some different amp things, and I would throw the amps out all the way to the sides. Get them out of the center here, and make sure that the imaging is way far out to the sides. Just go all the way. I worked with a guy, Dan Frizzell from Nashville, who's Kid Rock's producer, and he always said, with the way he mixed a lot of times was, don't worry about panning anything in the, like 40% left or 40% right. Like, get them it's either a completely stereo image or signal, get them completely out, or put them in the center. I don't go quite that extreme, but I do think with these guitars, if you do two things, if you take these guitars and you get the images way out to the side, and same parts, and then you take those keys and you roll off, I think you're actually going to have to come up with maybe new ways to play the keys. Most keys in pop music today, they're not in with a pad the whole time, especially with those heavy guitars going on. I would take more of the tinkly definition parts, roll off the low end, play those, and then only bring in that pad where it is now when those guitars are not as prominent. Listen again to the end here. Those do sound like stereo guitars. But that keys line is not sparkly enough to diversify itself as something that's happening out here. And it's also taking up the room of the throatiness of that guitar just a little bit. So I'd experiment with parts on your keys, with patches on your keys, and placement on the guitars. Vocals. I love that you can hear the realness in the performances. I'll find you. Both of these vocalists could stand to be way more characterally engaged. What's happening here is a classic sense of like trying to be in the song and with the song, but not being really engaged with the intensity of the song. This is an intense end. And there's some things arranging wise with doubling and more audio compression that you can do to get those vocals to be pinned to the mix a little bit better. But I think the main thing you need to do with both of these performers is have them be not crazier, but more. There's more angst, there's more emotion, there's more happening from a almost from a spiritually engaged level. Like, I want to hear these singers weep in the middle of their singing. I want to hear their voices break and crack and feel. I want to feel a sense of vulnerability so that I can connect to what they're singing about. That I think you do that, and a lot of the other things about this mix are gonna fall into place. Bass tone sounds great. Again, the drum placement sounds really nice, and I like the writing. Thank you so much, Affinity, the authors of Find You. Here is our next song. Oceans Apart. We'll be listening to the first minute and 30 seconds, according to the guys at Recording Revolution. Let's hear it.
Sand dance caravan.
Cool.
Look that desert crack. Sway on camelback. Cross the sand. Sand dance caravan. Sway on camelback, serpentine along the desert track, atop the drifting sand.
The production on the vocals is mint. It's really, really good. It gives me this sort of Enya sense a little bit. I like the vocal performance. I like the way it's placed. I like that even though it's doubled, it's narrow so that you have the other instruments doing their part out in the rest of it. I like the swell in here. Now, here, I do feel like the low end is a bit too compressed for this genre. There's a sense that I want to hear the way that bass is almost trapped. They're supposed to. You're supposed to have a bit more air to breathe. The rest of the mix is breathing nicely, but the low end feels too compressed. And I feel like if there was more breathing in the low end, it would help that percussion feel a bit realer. This bass sound is amount of compression is really good, but it's better suited for heavier music. And I've done that before too. I've mixed things like, I'll dial in my bass or whatever, and then I realize that it's not quite fitting with the rest of the genre that I'm working in, and I have to decompress. Now the rest of the mix, you can see this is not an overly slammed mix. I think it's really good. It's just in the low end that I'm hearing this. So it might be a multiband compressor thing. It might just be the compressor on the bass. I'm not sure, but it feels like the whole low end needs a little bit more room to breathe. Okay. The other thing that I notice here in the arranging. Let's see. Those lines, the instrumentation, the lead line going on over here, and then the lead line going on over here. They, from an arranging standpoint, I don't think this is a mix thing, although you could just automate them in and out. They're competing with each other. I think if you bring in one, don't have the other one playing over here, interrupting what this one's doing. They're in separate places in the stereo field, but they're still walking on each other a little bit. If I was going to be producing this act, I would be directing the other person. I'd have one guy play and say, okay, leave pockets. and have the other guy play and say, okay, listen to these guys where he left pockets, and then you play there. And then you can develop this real call and answer thing that happens. You can manufacture that with automation, sort of, but it's better if you go into the arrangement like that. There's too much going on either side. I realize that some of that might be a taste thing. You don't have to listen to me. My tastes are to hear that sort of pop sense call and answer, even in this genre, but that's not necessarily what everybody does. It's cool. It's cool. The leads are cool. There's too many of them. And I also saw a comment here that the drone goes on a little bit long. I don't know that it is necessarily that it is going on too long. There is just it maybe feels a bit static. If in the arrangement it was pulled in and out, again with some automated mixing, or maybe it did come out when it got a little bit more complex. If you listen here, I can see it existing. Out. Or just way more down. I could see that being a good thing. And let's see here.
Across the dunes, guarding the sun in our faces, in our eyes. Stop, hunker down and shelter to survive.
Ooh, those staccato thingies are cool. And I see that the atmosphere and the drone changes nicely. I like the addition of the high tinkly things going on. The mix comes together.
Whips across the dunes, guarding the sun.
Very, very nicely after the modulation. Very, very cool. Very good. I think overall mix-wise, other than the bass, it's a very, very good mix. Very well done. Thank you so much. All right. The next, we have 5 days late. One more fix. From, let's see, they're asking me to play 154. Through, let's see here, 310. Okay. Here we go.
The fabric of my sanity is tearing at the seams. This imposter that I become is ripped away by dreams. One more is all I hear. I'm a hostage to its name. Everything that I hold dear, I gamble in its name. Just one more fix, that's all that I need. I'm caught so deep now. There's no blood, there's no blood to bleed. Just one more fix, that's all that I need. Just one more fix now, just one more, so I can
That is an engaged vocalist that is really immersed in the character and emotion and feel of the song. Great job. Yeah, Elton John meets Queen, meets John Mellencamp, meets Bruce Springsteen. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things going on there. Good classic vibe. I think that here, in particular, I didn't mind it so much when the band kicked in.
The fabric of my sand
I want to listen here to the.
sober me died long ago. My body's numb and fabric of my sanity is
I would dial back the reverb a little bit, and maybe there's a little slap.
fabric of my
I think that might be just a reverb, but I would dial back the reverb, and then maybe I would do a little bit of a slap delay, also very low. But I would take those effects down, and he's got such a wonderful texture to his voice. If you turn the Joe Cocker, that's what I was thinking of. If you dial the pre-delay longer a little bit, so that his voice can hit our ears before the space does, just a little bit, that's going to be really, really helpful for you, for hearing a bit more of that wonderful texture that he has in his voice. So I'd do three things: pre-delay the reverb a little bit more, turn it down. I like the quality of the reverb. And then when you've done that, add just a tiny, tiny bit of slap delay that takes it out of the center just a little bit as well. Now, right here, when we get into this,
one more is all I hear.
excellent placement of the vocals. They're right in the center. It sounds really good.
It's true, it's them. Everything that I hold dear, I gamble in its name. Just one more fix, that's all that I need.
Right here, we lose the stereo imaging, where I still want to hear him in the middle. I get what the mix guy was doing, trying to like diversify the sections with the arranging, but we lost the center image of the voice too much.
I'm caught so deep now. There's no blood to bleed. Just one more fix, that's all that I need. Just one more fix now, just one more, so I can breathe.
Yeah, I stand by my comment.
I'm a hostage to
I like the change. I mean, I really do like that we've gone from like right here to here, but I think that there's a balance there where we're not going to have or we need to have more of that center image once they widen out. I think someone just mentioned having a little bit more saturation. I don't know what program you're mixing in, but one of my favorite saturation plugins is Phoenix. That'll bring out some of that neat sound he's got in his voice. And then there's, of course, the Shep's Omni channel does some good jobs of saturating some things. Great job on the vocal performance. Great job on the vocal arranging. I want to hear the very beginning of this real quick.
It's more to me than what you see. My life, it does exist. These burdens I brought upon myself, I just can't fix. A sober me died long ago. He just faded into the night.
Those background vocals could be time aligned so that you don't hear the happening on the into.
What was birth has grown old. I can't live this life. My body's numb.
Yeah, I think they're too wet. I think to bring out that towel. The vocals are good. It's a good flavor. It's just too much of that flavor. Yeah, great job. As far as the instrumentation, love the instrumentation. Love the arranging at the beginning. Tasteful, balanced. I saw someone saying that maybe the drums could be a bit beefier. I think a bit more bus compression on the drums would be helpful. Yeah, great job. Great job. This was really fun to hear. Okay, now we get a chance to go through and see some studios, and I'm really excited about this. It's one of those things that I spend so much time down here. I'll visit different studios, but to be able to see your guys' project studios, super fun. Okay. Oh, here we have I'm the singer for 5 Days Late song and deeply humbled by all the comments. Yeah, Joe Cocker's awesome. And yeah, great job. Great job. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for being here. Okay, here we go. Here is the Your Studio tour. This is from a guy by the name of Richard Y. Ooh. I like the coloring, crown molding. This looks like an actual living space. Let's see if, we'll go back to that. It'd be interesting to know what the rest of the room looks like here. Like what's in back, what the other, parts of the room treatment. Maybe it looks like a living space to me though. Very cool. I notice that, and again, we'd have to see the rest of the space, but I notice that when I have acoustic instruments in the room, I cannot sing into them. They cannot be in front of me. And I see that there's a mic right there. Sometimes they can't even be to the side of me because they will resonate. And I see that looks like there might be some things keeping those strings silent or quiet. So that might be part of what they've experienced as well. Room treatment could be an issue here. I don't know. Nice headphones, by the way. I don't know what the situation is with what you've got behind you, but I would see, especially behind the desk, having a little bit of absorption because it's right up against the wall, and maybe even a little bit of diffusion. And then bringing the desk out just a little bit. I see that it's kind of on a corner, and I realize that we're all working with things that are it's in a house, and you have compromises you have to make. I mean, I definitely had a lot of those here as well. The string dampers are definitely gonna do well. Yeah, it could be podcasting too. Loud noises and acoustic instruments, at least with my voice, don't go over that well. I do see that, at least from what I see in this picture, that there's some natural diffusion going on up there, which is kind of cool. I wonder what the material of the floor is, and how it sounds. I think that looks like a nice desk and well-placed monitors. It's cool, very, very cool. Let's see. Let's look at the gear list here. Oh, well, if I would have read this, set up in the corner of a big Victorian living room. Yep, high ceilings, also the home office. More and more room, right? Whole space is a bit of a compromise. Yep, no, that's what it totally looks like. And let's see here. Yep, MacBook Pro, M1. How's the M1 treating you? Cubase. Yeah, I mean, it's all about... it's all about compromising, right? And you're doing the best with the space that you have. It's really interesting and really cool. Very good. Very good job. Todd Stillwell. Oh, cool. Yep. Big thick curtains. Nothing like a good CD rack and stuff for diffusion. Like the blanket on the chair. Curved monitors. My name is Todd, and I thought this picture showed off much of my studio in some ways that I use it. Cool. Reaper. Okay. Definitely, I like the accessibility of the keys. That's a little bit how my studio is set up, where I'm able to do, like I'll have my guitar right here when I need it, and then my keys are just over here. So I can roll over and play something without having, and then I can record vocals there. I like having everything in one area. And yeah, it's a very ergonomic setup, and it looks like you've got plenty of sound treatment, which is pretty awesome. I can't see. Oh, the monitors are in back there. Looks like I don't see any near field monitors in the setup. But if you're used to, what I always say is, if you're used to your space, if you know, and I've done a video on this too, if you know where the great sounding parts of your room are, it doesn't really matter that it's right or not. I really like it. Practical, old school. Looks like a hard floor, but you've got so much absorbing material with curtains and stuff in there. I think you're more than in good shape. Very good. Mike Oba. Oh. Yes. Carpeted room. That is very handy. I like the way that I like the way that you have structured the guitars. And it looks like you're in the length of the room, although the image is distorted so that I can see more in just the one pick. I would definitely invest. I love the way that you've hung things on the wall, and that's probably helping quite a bit. But I would definitely invest in some low cost, not even a lot, but a little bit of low cost acoustic treatment. It can be some stuff like this that you see in this studio. This is just the low cost RLX stuff. And if you were to hang some things over the closet doors, maybe some curtains over the closet doors for some absorption, and then a bit of diffusion and absorption on the ceiling as well. A good rule of thumb is to make sure that none of your walls, none of your 3x3 spaces inside your studio have the same type of material. So if you've got bare wall in one part, you want to have absorptive and possibly diffusive stuff on the other part, the opposing side of that. And for the most part, the way things are hung, this is very good. You've got a lot of things that could diffuse sound and change the direction, but not a lot of things to absorb other than the carpet. So you wouldn't need a lot, but you'd need some, I think, to get, depending on how loud you're recording and what kind of instruments you're recording, to get some of the slap and some of the echo out of there. Yeah, I like the panoramic. I can see well. Oh, the closet has a quilt in it. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's a huge thing. Cool. All right. Let's see here. AKGs. iMac, yeah, 52 gigs of RAM, nice. Oh, plan to run the Room EQ wizard as soon as you can allocate. Yeah, Room EQ is good. The problem with Room EQ without this is just what I was looking at here. The problem with Room EQ without first hanging some sort of absorbing material is you're going to have a very dynamic room in terms of like different parts of the room are going to be very different. If you can deaden the room just a little bit, some of this stuff like the RLX stuff, that'd be really awesome. Okay. Let's see here. Test one, test one. Love all the guitars. Okay, great. Tim Worley. I'm going to read about it first. Embarrassingly messy recording area. No treatment. Twin mattresses. Hey, even Blackbird Studios in Nashville uses twin mattresses. Maybe they're full mattresses. Okay. Cool setup. Yeah, I mean, I would say the same here. You've got carpet on the wall or on the floor, so that's nice. But you wouldn't have to spend very much. Just a few $100s probably to get some good-looking, absorbing acoustic treatment that you'd put some on the wall, some on the ceiling. That's not going to help your pounding around with kids and stuff like that. But it is going to help with the way that the sound dissipates inside the room. So there's that difference between sound treatment and sound, like sound isolation and sound treatment. And it's fairly easy to and inexpensive to treat a room. The kids and other, outside lawnmowers and stuff like that. That just kind of is what it is. And especially if you're doing, I remember in my old house, I had a vent right above me, and I also had the kitchen right above me. And whenever the air conditioner came on, and whenever the air conditioner was right outside the room too, and whenever anybody was in the kitchen, I basically couldn't work. I couldn't record anything because it was so poundy. And I had to turn the air conditioning off to do vocals and stuff like that. And that got really hot, especially when I had people over. So I'm very thankful to have a space that is not under a main living area. It's very, very nice. But even when I treated my old room, even though the sound didn't keep the sounds from coming in, it did make the sounds that I recorded better. And so even if there was sound bleed, at least I didn't have two things wrong with the signal at that point. So, okay. Krister Nestrom. Hopefully I said that sort of right. I screw up people's names, but I have a screwy last name too. So, let's see here. Ooh. So this looks like it's in its own building. That's fun. Cool. Let's see. We'll read about it a little bit. Yeah, separate building. Yeah. Okay, Reaper. Lots of amps. So I love stuff like this. I have a good friend who he had something sort of like this. It was like a cabin sort of out in the far place of the backyard. I love stuff like this. It's got to be just so serene and wonderful to walk out there in that wooded area and get in here and make music. Like that you have the board. Looks like the monitor is maybe a bit high. I bet you're standing up quite a bit to get maybe more accurate pictures of what's going on with your monitors. You could tilt them down a little bit. Maybe that would help with the accuracy. Oh, yeah. Again, ergonomic. I see there's a lot of keyboards and you don't have a long way to go. I think that it would be nice to have drums. Do you have a way to like draw a curtain across the side? so that you could isolate a little bit when the drums are being played, and that would maybe take down some of the resonance that happens around the room. I see that you've got a lot in the room that's already acting as absorbing. It looks like you do have a curtain, but it looks very thin. I wonder if you could make something a little thicker there. That looks like maybe a mirror, or is it? I don't know. I can't tell. But yeah, really, really neat. I like the rug. I wonder what the ceiling is like. Looks like it might be a vaulted ceiling or a slanted ceiling, which is super cool. There might be some room for some acoustic treatment, although I think with as much stuff as you have in there, it's probably pretty good, especially with the way the angles and the equipment are set up. I would also have trouble with the drums being in the room, that when I got louder with my vocals or the other instruments, you'd hear bleed or resonance from the drums. Yeah, very, very nice. Scott Towns. Ah, cool. Panoramic. Let's read a little bit about this. My home studio. Iris Music. UA, nice. Cakewalk. Roland V drums. Some cool mics. Adding more acoustic treatment to get the sound as good as you can. Okay. Yeah, it does look, for it being a hard surfaced floor, it does look a little bit light on the acoustic treatment side, particularly on the ceiling. I bet it's still a bit echoey. I think that, now this is one thing I have never been, and this is a differing thing, and I know Graham feels differently about this too. So take this for, with a grain of salt. But I have never been a big fan of the real small vocal booths. I feel like they hurt the sound more than they help, at least with my style of singing. They almost shrink the sound of the mic. They do get rid of some of the reflections, but not really, because the sound still just bleeds out and then comes into the front. They create a really strange sound. I would recommend bagging that and focusing on developing the sound in the room so that you can be in the center of the room, standing up, recording your vocals, and let the sound of your voice dissipate into the absorptive materials that's far away. That way you're guaranteed to not get any reflections coming back to your mic. But I have never been able to record anybody, and I've never been able to use those things and have them. I understand why they exist, but they don't work for me. That said, I know that they sell and they do work for some people, so that's, it's all about opinions, I suppose. I love the desk. Really pretty desk. I think the setup's really nice. I like that you have a control surface, and it looks like it allows you to have the monitors placed really, really well. Yeah, very cool looking. Next. Arumas. Ooh. Minimal. Yeah, I like that. This is a good example of acoustic treatment, just a little bit, and along with the nice thick curtains, I bet that sounds really good with that carpeted room. I bet it sounds really good. Yamaha monitors, subwoofer, simple studio. Yeah. Very good. I would extend those bass traps down. Bass traps in just the corners don't do much. They do some, but not much. Looks like you've done a good job of pulling your desk away from the main wall. I bet that sounds really nice. If it were me, and this is another sort of preference thing, I would take that sub and I would place it behind the desk as opposed to it being over, based on where you're at. I know that they say that you can't really tell where low end is, and you should put the bass in the corner and all that. But where you are, and with this size room, I think you'd actually get a better understanding of what your low end is doing if that sub was a bit more centralized in your listening position. I think that'll be huge for you. I've mixed in rooms like this where it's smaller and the bass the sub is way over to the side. And if I'm back in the room, like in the back of the room, it's fine. But if I'm like right on the side of the sub, it doesn't do it for me. Like I can feel and hear the placement of the bass as off, and I'm not able to make very good decisions. Upon looking at this again, it looks like it's a hard surface, not a carpeted surface on the floor. So I would be doing more things on the ceiling. I would foam the dickens out of that ceiling and maybe invest in a few more rugs. I have hard wood surface here, and I have really got to make sure my ceiling is full of foam, and I have multiple rugs. I have 3 rugs in my main control room, and that's necessary. Great job. Okay. Paul Sereno. Cork wall's cool. I wonder what the size of this is. This is cool. Well, he'd probably tell me. Mercedes hat. Neat. Yeah, that's a small area, but he's made good use of it. Some gear list here. Cubase, SoundForge, Guitar Pro, Waves, Isotope. You know, it's challenging to work in small spaces like this, but the main thing you can do is make sure that all of your walls, and it looks like he's done that. I can't really tell what that material is. Oh, rubber floors. On the walls, maybe. If your entire wall in this case is not hard, not supremely reflective, you're going to be okay in a small space like this. And I think that you've also chosen the length of the room. I know you didn't have much choice, but yeah, this is a closet. I would still say that you have an opportunity to shoot your room and adjust the EQ of your listening environment, adjust the monitor placement up and down just a little bit, in order to make sure that you are optimizing your listening experience in that small space. It's especially important to make sure you trust your listening environment in small spaces. A lot of people think, well, there's only one place to stand in a small space, and so I don't need to. It is what it is. But there's things you can do with things like Sonar Works or subtle monitor placements or different monitors or stuff like that to make sure that you know what's going on in that room and that you trust it. Don't use the excuse of I've got a really small room and so I don't need to fine-tune my monitoring. In fact, if you have a small room, you need to fine-tune your monitoring especially. Just reading through that's a lot of gear. That's cool. All right. Okay. Walker Higgins. Ooh, pretty. Very pretty. Washer and dryer offering some natural diffusion. I like the length of the room. Looks like a little step up back there. Well placed acoustic treatment. Oh wow, I like the rug. Desk looks nice. Very, very nice. Detached garage, okay. Okay. Coming in through Dante. He's even got multiple things. That's very... Okay. Scarlet. Yeah, that's really pretty. Again, it looks like you've chosen the layout smartly. You have place for people to... Okay, now I think what I'm looking at here is multiple rooms. We've got the tracking room, and then we've got the control room. Very well done. I would still put some things on the ceiling. It's amazing how often the ceiling gets overlooked. It probably sounds pretty good with that nice consistent sort of not checkerboard but alternating pattern with the guitars and the acoustic treatment. But you could probably benefit, especially with those drums, having some stuff on the ceiling. I've even, in rooms like this, you can even take heavy... Oh, top left is a different room. That's very cool. You can even take fabric, like thicker fabric or curtains, and pleat it along the ceiling. And that will go a long way to providing some absorption and diffusion, but it has to be thick. I did that in an old apartment that I had. I didn't have any actual acoustic treatment, but I went and got thick material from Hobby Lobby or something, and I pleated it across the ceiling. And that was great. It really worked well. Great job. Very nice setup. Mark Diebold. There we go. Some stuff on that. Oh, I have those same absorptive materials over there on the side. Very good. Fan providing some natural diffusion. Got a tape player there. I like that you got the windows right behind. That's nice. Oh, yeah. Look at the good old 11 rack. Neat mic presentation there. Very good. I like what you did with the closet. Looks... Attach studio photos. It also serves as a rehearsal space for the band. Okay, yep, universal audio. Wow, some really nice high-end gear, some Neve stuff. I don't know that I have many suggestions about this room. I think that if I were recording my voice in there, I would still need more acoustic treatment. If it's a rehearsal space, I would think that I would still need more rehearsal treatment as well. Yeah, it looks really great. Really, really well done. Yeah. Vibey too. Nice. Alan O. Ooh, I like the colors. Did you make the acoustic treatment yourself? It looks really, really custom and nice for the space. This is making good use of your space. This is great. Love it. See, this is an example of a small space utilized really, really well, and you have to have a lot of acoustic treatment sometimes. And I like that it's thick acoustic treatment because that's going to help with the low end response as well. Yeah. It's tough to tell what the ceiling is, but I would want some absorption and diffusion on the ceiling. That pleated fabric could work well here too. Yeah, very nice. Self-built custom rack. Focals. Yeah, Focals are great. I love Focal Studio monitors. I also use a PreSonus Central Station. It's a great, great box. That's the has my talk back, and then I have it on a pedal, so I can hit the pedal and talk to that other room. Telefunken mic, nice instrument setup. Yeah, vibey, nice space, even though it's small. Love the desk. Love it. Monica Hammonds. Good old MacBook Air. Those things never die. Behringer Surface. KRK headphones. Yep. Corner of the room. Yeah, this is one of those that it's tough to know what the other dynamics of the room are, but I do see some clothes hanging up there. Clothes are fantastic absorbing materials, and if it doubles as other room purposes, utilizing stuff like coat racks and clothing hangers, clothes with hangers with clothes on them, stuff like that, curtains. I think this could be great. And you're using what looks like, it's not a terribly sensitive mic. It looks like maybe a dynamic microphone, so you don't have to worry as much about room treatment. And you've got carpet on the floor. That's great. Jeremy Ellis. Ooh, pretty. I like the designs with the RLX. Nice floor, too. Yeah, I like what you've done with the floor. It's very tasteful. Is that a real wood floor or is that laminate? It looks very similar to the floor I've got. Mine's birch. Doubles as a live streaming and video studio. I thought so. It looks really nice. PreSonus, Studio One. Yeah, really nice looking. And you would know, it still seems like in this case I would want more acoustic treatment for the type of other surfaces you have in that room. It seems like it would be a bit too live, particularly for the drums. That's a common theme I'm seeing. Do you have curtains to go over the glass? The new M1 Mac Mini, cool. It's vinyl, okay. Yeah, I think that it's great. I think that more acoustic treatment, having some different options for covering your glass with a thick curtain, covering your blinds with a curtain, could go a long way. And then, so I had in my old studio, I had French glass doors like that, and I just put a curtain rod above it, on the side that it didn't open out to, and then would close it, and then close the curtains. That way I could use the glass for the see-throughish nature of it or not. And that worked really, really well. Really well. It takes thick curtains, though. Great job. Mike. Nice. I like the lamps. Neat lighting. Plenty of acoustic treatment here. Yeah, really tasteful lighting. Small basement studio apartment. Pro Tools and Logic, yep. It looks perfect for a podcast production room and for some music. The low end. Yeah, low end can be tricky in spaces like this because you don't have a lot of room to work. I would recommend with low end in a situation like this, get something like SonarWorks or some kind of room monitor correction. Sit in your primary listening position and tune your low end there, and then walk around and just see what else is strange. But when you've reached a point where you can't do anything more with your space, then you've got to go to the monitors. You don't want to start with the monitors. You want to start with the space and then do what's left with the monitors. Great. Aaron. Ooh, nice. This guy's doing some video also. Very minimal and simplistic. I'd put stuff on the ceilings. You have parallel hard surfaces there. That's gotta be a drag. I'd also widen your monitors a little bit. They're a bit narrow. Really aesthetically pleasing. Very good. I think that you could benefit from some corner rounding, some bass traps as well. I think that would be handy. Really like the look of the floor. Looks really nice. All right, let's see here. Nikos. This is beautiful looking. Carpet on the floor. Let's still put some stuff on the ceiling. Looks like some acoustic treatment would be useful on all around. Small space. It's interesting that the smaller the space, the thicker the acoustic treatment needs to be to make up for the bass room modes. You filled that up. That's great looking. Yeah. That's quite the monitoring setup. I wonder if you're also a day trader. That's a lot of cool stuff for the displays. Atom monitors. I like that rollout. I like that rollout keyboard thing. It's really neat. Awesome. Everybody, this has been wonderful to see your guys' spaces, to read a little bit more about what kind of work you guys are doing. That helps me sort of know where you guys exist and how you guys work, because I can formulate things based on what I've done and around what you guys have done to help you So thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you for sharing not only your music, but your spaces. If you have a desire and you haven't yet, be sure to click the link in the video description below and join my free recording course that I have available through the Recording Revolution. And we'll see you around on the channel. I really had fun going through these. We'll see you for more videos very soon.